Welcome, wisdom seekers. Today, we're diving into a world where our own worst enemy is often ourselves, a world where our habits, born from comfort and fear, quietly sabotage our lives. Imagine, for a moment, standing on the precipice of a great mountain. You've climbed this far, and the summit is within reach, yet something is holding you back. It's not the mountain itself, it's the weight in your backpack, the unnecessary, self-imposed burdens you've chosen to carry. This video is not about adding more to your load, but about shedding those heavy, destructive habits that prevent you from reaching your true potential. Today, we will unearth the 8 habits that have woven themselves into the fabric of your daily existence, silently holding you back from greatness. These are the habits that have ensnared countless men before you, keeping them trapped in the cycle of mediocrity and self-doubt. Let us begin our journey into self-liberation by dissecting these habits one by one, understanding their insidious nature, and, most importantly, learning how to remove them from our lives forever. Wisdom seekers, your support means everything. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and consider using the thank you feature to make a donation. Every like, subscribe, and donation helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge. Ready to unlock more wisdom? Let's get started. Habit 1. The habit of complaining. Every man knows the seductive allure of complaining. It begins subtly, like a whisper in your mind. Traffic jam on your way to work, an argument with your partner, or the cold coffee that greets you in the morning. Each annoyance becomes an opportunity to vent, to release, to complain. But complaints are not just fleeting expressions of dissatisfaction. They are chains that bind us to a life of powerlessness. Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you complain, you are not reacting, you are surrendering. You are admitting that the world controls you, that you are a puppet whose strings are pulled by external circumstance. Complaining is not just a bad habit, it is a declaration of defeat. Imagine a life where every complaint is replaced with action or acceptance. Picture Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, surrounded by chaos, war, and betrayal. Did he complain? No, he wrote to himself, reminding his soul to stay firm, to accept the world as it is, and to act within it. Complaining is the language of the powerless. Action and acceptance are the languages of the powerful. To remove this habit from your life, you must first recognize it for what it truly is: thief of your time, energy, and potential. Next time you feel the urge to complain, pause. Ask yourself, can I change this? The answer is yes, then act. The answer is no, then accept. The path to inner peace and external mastery begins with the removal of this simple but destructive habit. Complaining feeds on itself. One complaint leads to another, and soon you find yourself surrounded by a dark cloud of negativity that blocks out the light of opportunity. To break free, start by being mindful of your words. Keep a journal. Every time you complain, write it down. Review your entries at the end of the week. You will be astonished at how much of your life is consumed by this habit. Now imagine that time, that energy, redirected toward building, creating, improving. The Stoics believed in the power of perspective. Shift yours, and you will find that the world you live in transforms along with it. Complaining is also a form of subtle self-pity. It suggests that you are deserving of a life free from obstacles, challenges, or discomfort. But life, by its very nature, is full of these things. It is through overcoming them, not lamenting them, that we find our strength. Complaining is the easy path, the path of least resistance. But as Seneca wisely noted, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. Complaining keeps you rooted in inaction. Dare to take responsibility, confront challenges head-on, and to embrace the discomfort of action. That is the path of the warrior, path of the Stoic. To remove the habit of complaining from your life, cultivate gratitude. Every day, take a moment to reflect on what is good in your life. It doesn't have to be monumental. Sometimes the simplest things are the most profound. The sun on your face, the sound of laughter, quiet moments of solitude. These are the moments that give life meaning, yet they are so easily overshadowed by the petty grievances we cling to. Let go of your complaints, and you will find that life, in all its imperfections, is far richer and more rewarding than you ever imagined. Habit 2. The habit of procrastination. Procrastination is the silent thief of time, stealing our most valuable resource while we watch, paralyzed by indecision. It disguises itself as a harmless delay, a break, a breather, a chance to gather thoughts. But make no mistake, procrastination is not a friend offering you solace. It is a cunning enemy robbing you of your potential. Think of all the dreams unfulfilled, the books unwritten, the businesses unstarted, all because of the habit of putting things off for tomorrow. But tomorrow is a promise that life does not always keep. The great Stoic philosopher Seneca once warned, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." Procrastination often stems from a fear of failure, fear of judgment, or even a fear of success. It's easier to delay than to face the unknown. But every moment spent procrastinating is a moment lost forever. A moment where action could have been taken, progress could have been made, and life could have been lived. When you procrastinate, you are choosing comfort over growth, safety over opportunity. You are choosing to stand still while the world moves forward. The antidote to procrastination is action. It doesn't have to be perfect action, or even big action, just movement. The ancient philosopher Aristotle believed that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Procrastination is a habit of inaction, and the only way to break it is to cultivate the habit of doing. Start small. Set a timer for 5 minutes and work on the task you've been avoiding. Often, the hardest part is simply beginning. Once you start, momentum takes over and the task becomes less daunting. Action begets action, and before you know it, you've overcome the inertia that kept you trapped. Procrastination is also deeply tied to our self-perception. When we procrastinate, we are sending a message to ourselves that we are not capable, not ready, not worthy. We become our own harshest critics, convinced that whatever we produce will not be good enough. But this is a lie. The truth is, progress is made through imperfection. Mastery is achieved through mistakes. The great painter Leonardo da Vinci spent years working on the Mona Lisa, constantly revising, reworking, and reimagining. He understood that perfection is an illusion, and that the pursuit of it is what truly matters. Combat procrastination, embrace the process over the result. Commit to showing up, day after day, even when you don't feel ready. Especially when you don't feel ready. Procrastination also thrives on distraction. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded with notifications, emails, and endless streams of content designed to pull our attention away from the task at hand. To remove the habit of procrastination, you must guard your focus fiercely. Create a space free from distractions, set boundaries around your time, and prioritize your tasks ruthlessly. Remember, every time you choose to procrastinate, you are choosing to let something else dictate your life. Reclaim your power by taking control of your time and attention. Focus on what truly matters and watch as the habit of procrastination slowly fades away. Procrastination is not just about laziness, it's a complex interplay of self-doubt, fear, and the illusion of endless time. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, often reminded themselves of the brevity of life. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. These words are not a morbid reflection, but a call to urgency. Life is fleeting, and each day spent procrastinating is a day that cannot be reclaimed. When you push tasks to tomorrow, you're gambling with the only true currency you have, time. Imagine a craftsman in ancient Rome, a man who wakes at dawn to begin his work. He does not delay his tasks, for he knows that each hour lost is an hour he will never regain. The sun rises and sets, regardless of his readiness. In his mind, every day is an opportunity to create something of value, to add to his legacy, no matter how small. This craftsman understands that perfection is not the goal, completion is. Procrastination would mean starvation for him. Thus, he has no choice but to act. We, however, live in a world filled with comforts and safety nets, where the consequences of inaction are less immediate, no less severe. Our procrastination may not lead to immediate hunger, but it feeds the deeper hunger for purpose and fulfillment that gnaws at us slowly over time. To defeat procrastination, you must build systems that encourage action over inaction. Set clear, attainable goals, break them into smaller, manageable tasks, and schedule them. The great philosopher Seneca advised, begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. Approach each task as if it is the only task you will complete in this separate life. This mindset shifts your perception from overwhelming projects to achievable daily victories. The Pomodoro technique, for example, is a simple yet effective method to combat procrastination. Work for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and repeat. These short bursts of focused effort, combined with brief moments of rest, allow you to tackle tasks without feeling overwhelmed. This method aligns with the Stoic practice of breaking challenges into smaller, manageable parts. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself not to be overwhelmed by the whole, but to focus on each part. Do not let the force of the whole crush you. Do not spend your time worrying about the future or other things you cannot control. Another powerful tactic is to visualize your future self. Picture yourself 5 years from now, living the consequences of your procrastination. How does that version of you feel? Regretful? Unfulfilled? Now, contrast that with the version of you who took consistent, deliberate action. Which version of you do you want to be? The Stoics emphasized living in accordance with nature, which means striving towards your potential rather than shirking from it. The discomfort of action today pales in comparison to the discomfort of regret tomorrow. Finally, eliminate perfectionism from your thought process. Perfectionism and procrastination are two sides of the same coin. You delay starting because you fear the outcome won't meet your impossibly high standards. But perfection is an illusion, a mirage that keeps you perpetually stuck in the desert of inaction. The Stoics, particularly Epictetus, thought that progress, not perfection, is the true measure of a man. He said, "No great thing is created suddenly, any more than a bunch of grapes or a fig. If you tell me that you desire a fig, I answer you that there must be time. Let it first blossom, then bear fruit, then ripen. Let go of the need for your work to be flawless. Focus instead on the process, on the daily act of showing up and doing the work. Over time, your efforts will bear fruit, and the habit of procrastination will wither away." Habit 3. The habit of blame. Blame is a seductive habit because it allows us to transfer our burdens onto others. It is the easy out, the loophole that absolves us of responsibility. When we blame, we build a narrative that says, "It's not my fault. I am the victim here." But blame, like all forms of escapism, is a mirage. It provides temporary relief, but no real solutions. The Stoics believed in radical ownership of one's circumstances. Epictetus said, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens to us." Blame is just another thought, another story we tell ourselves to avoid confronting uncomfortable truths. Blame others is to give away your power. It is to say that your happiness, your success, your very existence is at the mercy of forces outside your control. But the Stoic path is one of self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you blame others, you relinquish this power. You surrender your autonomy and become a passenger in your own life, buffeted by the whims of fate and circumstance. Think of the stories you have told yourself about your past. Times you blamed your parents, your teachers, your boss, or even your friends for your failures. These narratives may feel comforting, but they are prisons of your own making. The ancient Stoics understood that true freedom comes from within. To free yourself from the habit of blame, you must first acknowledge your role in your own life. Accept that while you cannot control what others do, you are entirely responsible for your response. This is not an easy task. It requires brutal self-honesty and the courage to confront your own flaws. But this is the path to true empowerment. Blame also keeps you anchored in the past, replaying old wounds and injustices. But the past is unchangeable, and dwelling on it only drags you further into a state of helplessness. Instead of blaming, practice what the Stoics called the art of acquiescence, accepting the things you cannot change and focusing on what you can. Blame is a backwards-looking emotion. As long as you're looking backward, you cannot move forward. The Stoics urged us to live in the present moment, to engage with what is directly in front of us. This mindset is not just practical, it is liberating. When you stop blaming, you free up mental space and energy to tackle the challenges of today. To remove the habit of blame, start by reframing your language. Replace "it's their fault" with "what can I learn from this?" Every situation, no matter how painful, holds a lesson. The Stoic teacher Musonius Rufus believed that adversity is the greatest teacher. When faced with hardship, ask yourself, what is this teaching me about myself? What strength is this situation demanding that I develop? These questions shift your mindset from one of victimhood to one of growth. Blame blinds you to these lessons. Responsibility illuminates them. Another tactic is to practice radical forgiveness, not for the sake of those who have wronged you, but for your own peace of mind. Holding on to blame is like carrying a heavy stone in your pocket. It weighs you down, slows your progress, and serves no useful purpose. Forgiveness is not about forgetting or condoning, it's about releasing the emotional burden. When you let go of blame, you make space for healing, growth, and new opportunities. Remember the words of Marcus Aurelius. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. By refusing to harbor blame, you rise above those who may have wronged you and reclaim your power. Lastly, cultivate empathy, not just for others, but for yourself. Blame is often rooted in our own deep-seated feelings of inadequacy. We project our inner turmoil onto others because it's easier than facing our own imperfections. But true strength lies in acknowledging these imperfections without shame or blame. The Stoics teach us that every human is fallible, every person a work in progress. When you accept this, you begin to view blame as an unproductive exercise. Instead, you redirect your energy towards understanding, problem-solving, and self-improvement. This shift in perspective is not just transformative, it is the very essence of Stoic wisdom. Habit 4. The habit of living in the past. The past is a powerful siren song, calling us back to moments of triumph and tragedy alike. For some, it is the comfort of nostalgia. For others, it is the haunting replay of mistakes and missed opportunities. But whether the past is painted in the warm hues of fond memories or the dark shades of regret, it is gone. The Stoics understood this with crystal clarity. Time is like a river made up of events which happen, wrote Marcus Aurelius, and a violent stream, for as soon as a thing has been seen, it is carried away, and another comes in its place, and this will be carried away too. Clinging to the past, then, is akin to grasping at water. It slips through your fingers no matter how tightly you hold on. Living in the past robs you of the present. Each moment spent ruminating on what was is a moment stolen from what is. We often replay our failures, dissecting every decision, every action, hoping that somehow we can rewrite history. But this endless analysis is a trap. It keeps us stuck in a loop of what-ifs and if-onlys, paralyzing us from taking action today. The Stoics taught that the past is beyond our control, and that our power lies solely in the present. Epictetus put it simply, the chief task in life is simply this: to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. The past falls squarely into the first category. It is an external that we cannot alter, no matter how much we wish otherwise. To stop living in the past, you must first confront the emotional attachments that bind you to it. Often, these attachments are rooted in unresolved grief, guilt, or longing. Perhaps you regret a decision that led to a painful outcome, or you miss a time when life felt simpler and more certain. These feelings are natural, but they are also chains. The Stoic approach is to acknowledge these emotions without being governed by them. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that everything we encounter in life is transient, like the changing seasons. Clinging to the past is like trying to hold on to a winter frost in the heat of summer. It's not just impossible, counterproductive. One powerful practice is to reframe the past not as a series of mistakes, but as a series of lessons. Every experience, good or bad, has shaped the person you are today. The Stoics viewed adversity as the forge of character. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body." Instead of lamenting past failures, ask yourself, what did I learn? How did this experience make me stronger, wiser, or more resilient? By viewing the past through the lens of growth, you transform it from a source of regret into a wellspring of wisdom. Another tactic is to practice mindfulness, grounding yourself in the present moment. The Stoics were masters of this, constantly reminding themselves to focus on the here and now. Marcus Aurelius would write to himself, "Confine yourself to the present." Mindfulness isn't just about being aware of your surroundings, it's about letting go of the mental chatter that pulls you back into the past. Simple practices like deep breathing, meditation, or even journaling can help anchor you in the present. Each time you catch yourself drifting into past memories, gently bring your focus back to your current surrounding. This isn't about forgetting the past, but about reclaiming your attention from it. Finally, set new goals and pursue them with determination. The past often dominates our minds because we lack a compelling vision for the future. Without new challenges, new pursuits, and new dreams, past becomes our default focus. The Stoics believed that life's purpose was not found in what has already happened, but in what we do with each new day. Set goals that excite you, projects that challenge you, and pursuits that pull you forward. Let these new endeavors fill your mind and heart, leaving little room for the ghosts of what once was. The past will always be a part of your story, but it does not have to be the defining chapter. With each new day, you have the power to write a new page. Living in the past is not just a mental exercise, it manifests physically, shaping your behavior and decisions. You might hesitate to take a new job because you once failed in a similar role, or you may avoid relationships because of past heartbreak. This habit casts a long shadow over your present, making every opportunity feel like a potential repeat of past pain. But the Stoics remind us that the past is dead, and only the present is alive. Epictetus urged his students to make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happened. The past is not in your power. It is not a living thing you can negotiate with. It is a monument of old experiences that can teach, but should never control. Consider the way ancient sailors navigated their ships. They used the stars, but they were always looking forward, never backward. They knew that a ship anchored in the past could never reach a new shore. The same principle applies to your life. You must learn to use the past as a reference point, not as an anchor. Too often, we keep rehashing past mistakes, believing that the act of overthinking will somehow change the outcome. But what it really does is keep us stuck in an endless loop of inaction and self-doubt. The Stoics believed that the mind should be disciplined like a warrior, focused on what lies ahead, not what's left behind. Habit 5. The habit of seeking validation. The need for validation is a silent thief. It steals your time, confidence, and ultimately, your authenticity. We live in an age where validation is only a click away. Likes, shares, comments, and applause are the currency of the modern world. But this need is not new, it is ancient, woven deep into the fabric of human nature. Even the greatest minds struggled with it. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world during his reign, constantly reminded himself not to be swayed by the opinions of others. "It never ceases to amaze me," he wrote, "that we all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own." Validation, when sought externally, comes a never-ending chase. It is the mirage that always seems within reach, but fades the moment you get close. The Stoics taught that true validation comes from within, from living in accordance with your values and principle. When you chase external validation, you place your self-worth in the hands of others, making yourself vulnerable to their whims and judgments. You become a puppet, dancing to the tune of societal expectations rather than the rhythm of your own heart. Think of the artists, writers, and thinkers who lived before the age of social media. They created not for likes or approval, but because they felt compelled to express themselves. They were driven by an inner fire, a need to give life to their ideas, regardless of public reception. The Stoics, too, were familiar with this internal drive. Epictetus spoke of the inner citadel, a place within where you are safe from the opinions of others. He believed that true freedom was found in self-mastery, and that the only validation worth seeking was self-approval. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid, he advised. This is the crux of Stoic wisdom. courage to be misunderstood, to walk your path even when it diverges from the expectations of others. To remove the habit of seeking validation, start by redefining success on your terms. Ask yourself, what truly matters to me? What do I value most? Is it creativity, honesty, kindness, courage? Define your values clearly and let them be your guiding stars. When you live in alignment with these values, external validation loses its grip. You become less concerned with how others perceive you and more focused on living authentically. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. Your actions, not the applause of others, define your worth." Another powerful tool is to practice the empty chair technique. Imagine sitting across from an empty chair where your younger self is seated. What advice would you give this version of you? Would you tell him to seek the approval of others or to trust in his own path? This exercise helps you connect with your inner wisdom, reminding you that the validation you seek always been within you. By visualizing this dialogue, reaffirm your commitment to self-approval and self-trust, severing the ties of external dependence. Next, limit your exposure to external validation triggers. This might mean spending less time on social media or avoiding environments that encourage comparison. The Stoics practiced something similar through voluntary discomfort, choosing to go without certain comforts to build resilience. In the same way, reducing your need for external validation is a form of voluntary discomfort. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but it strengthens your sense of self. As you distance yourself from these triggers, you begin to hear your inner voice more clearly, unclouded by the noise of external opinions. Finally, practice self-compassion. Often, our need for validation stems from a harsh inner critic that constantly tells us we're not enough. The Stoics, though firm in their pursuit of excellence, also understood the importance of self-kindness. Seneca wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom and self-acceptance are cultivated through patience and understanding, not through endless self-criticism." When you make a mistake, instead of seeking external reassurance, turn inward. Acknowledge the error, learn from it, and then let it go. This inner dialogue is the most powerful form of validation because it comes from the only person whose opinion truly matters to you. Removing the habit of seeking validation does not mean living in isolation or rejecting all feedback. It means being selective about whose opinions you value and ensuring that your self-worth is not contingent on external approval. By anchoring yourself in your own values and cultivating self-compassion, you build an inner fortress that external opinions cannot breach. This is the essence of Stoic resilience, the unwavering knowledge that your worth is intrinsic, not something that can be granted or taken away by others. Habit 6. The habit of complaining. Complaining is the language of disempowerment. It is the habit of highlighting what is wrong without any intention of making it right. When you complain, you are engaging in a futile exercise of pointing out problems without seeking solutions. The Stoics viewed complaining as a waste of time and energy resources that could be better spent improving oneself and one's circumstances. Marcus Aurelius was particularly adamant about this. Waste no more time whining about what a good man should be. Be one. This quote underscores a key Stoic principle: action over words, solutions over complaints. Complaining is often rooted in a sense of helplessness, a belief that we are victims of circumstances beyond our control. But the Stoics remind us that while we cannot control what happens, we can always control our response. Complaining shifts our focus outward, blaming external forces for our discontent, whereas the Stoic approach shifts the focus inward, asking, "What can I do about this? How can I respond differently?" This shift from victimhood to agency is the first step in breaking the habit of complaining. Imagine a Roman soldier on the battlefield. He does not have the luxury of complaining about the weather, the terrain, or the enemy's tactics. His only focus is on what he can control: his own actions, his own strategy. Complaining would not only be futile, it would be dangerous, sapping his morale and distracting him from his mission. The Stoics believe that life is much like a battlefield, and our time is too precious to squander on grievances. Epictetus famously said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." Instead of complaining about State of the world, change your corner of it. Instead of lamenting your circumstances, take action, however small, to improve them. One practical way to remove the habit of complaining is to adopt the no complaint challenge. For 1 week, commit to not voicing any complaints. Every time you catch yourself about to complain, pause and reframe your thoughts. Instead of saying, "I hate this traffic," try, "This is a chance for me to practice patience." Instead of, "My job is so stressful," think, "How can I better manage my time or approach my task?" This challenge forces you to shift from problem identification to solution orientation. It rewires your brain to see opportunities rather than obstacles. The Stoics also recommended practicing gratitude as an antidote to complaining. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about finding joy in the simple things, waking up, being alive, having the strength to face another day. Gratitude shifts your focus from what is lacking to what is abundant. Each time you feel the urge to complain, counter it with a statement of gratitude. This doesn't mean ignoring real issues. It means balancing your perspective. Grateful heart sees potential even in adversity, whereas a complaining heart sees only obstacles. Seneca put it eloquently. He is a great man who uses earthenware as if it were silver, but he is equally great who uses silver as if it were earthenware. In other words, contentment comes not from what you have, from how you perceive it. The Stoic pause is another powerful tool. Before voicing a complaint, take a deep breath and pause. Ask yourself, will this complaint lead to a positive outcome? Will it solve a problem or merely express frustration? Often, the act of pausing is enough to redirect your energy toward a more constructive response. This habit trains you to be mindful of your words, recognizing that they hold power over your mood and mindset. By reducing the frequency of complaints, you create more mental space for problem solving and personal growth. Finally, surround yourself with solution-oriented people. Company you keep has a profound impact on your habits. If you are surrounded by chronic complainers, their negativity will influence you, pulling you into the same cycle of discontent. Conversely, being around positive, proactive individuals will inspire you to adopt a similar outlook. The Stoics valued the company of wise and virtuous friends who would challenge them to be better. As Seneca advised, associate with people who are likely to improve you. When you align yourself with those who focus on solutions rather than problems, you naturally begin to adopt their mindset. Complaining feels good in the moment. It gives a fleeting sense of release, but in the long run, it breeds dissatisfaction and inaction. The Stoics teach us to direct our energy toward what we can control, to be solution-oriented rather than problem-focused. This shift is not just about changing your words, it's about transforming your entire approach to life. By removing the habit of complaining, you free yourself from the chains of victimhood and step into a mindset of empowerment and agency. You become the master of your fate, not the victim of your circumstance. Habit 7. The habit of procrastination. Procrastination is the thief of time. It whispers lies to us, saying there will always be tomorrow, that we can afford to wait. But this habit is far more dangerous than it seems. Every moment we delay action, we are not just losing time, we are losing life. The Stoics were acutely aware of the fleeting nature of time. Seneca wrote passionately about this in his essay on the shortness of life. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. He believed that procrastination is not just about deferring tasks, but deferring life itself. The Stoics were masters of understanding the present moment as the only true possession we have. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands at your elbow. Be good for something while you live, and it is in your power." This stark reminder is not meant to inspire fear, but urgency. Every moment you delay, you are giving up a piece of your potential, allowing your goals, dreams, and responsibilities to slip away unnoticed. Procrastination is a habit that slowly erodes your confidence, as each deferred action reinforces a sense of helplessness and guilt. Procrastination often masquerades as perfectionism. You tell yourself that you're not ready yet, that the conditions aren't right, or that you need more information. But these are just excuses that keep you in a loop of inaction. The Stoics had no patience for such self-deception. They believed in taking action, however imperfect, because it is through action that we learn, grow, and refine our skills. Epictetus advised his students, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. This means committing to your goals, not just in thought, but in deed, taking the first step even when it feels uncomfortable or incomplete. To remove the habit of procrastination, start by breaking tasks into small, manageable steps. The Stoics believed in tackling life's challenges one moment at a time, focusing on what was immediately in front of them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't let your imagination be crushed by life as a whole. Don't try to picture everything bad that could possibly happen. Stick with the situation at hand and ask, why is this so unbearable? Why can't I endure it?" Apply this principle to your tasks. Instead of seeing a project as an overwhelming whole, focus on the first small action you can take right now. This could be as simple as opening a document, making a list, or setting a timer for 5 minutes of focused work. The key is to create momentum, however small. Another powerful technique is the 2-minute rule. If a task will take less than 2 minutes to complete, do it immediately. This could be responding to an email, making a quick call, or putting away a few items. The idea is to eliminate small tasks before they pile up into a mountain of undone work. By doing this, you free your mental bandwidth for more significant tasks and avoid the mental clutter that procrastination creates. The Stoics believed in simplifying life, removing distractions and small annoyances that sap our focus and energy. The 2-minute rule is a modern adaptation of this timeless philosophy. Simplify, act, and keep moving forward. Another way to combat procrastination is to confront your fears directly. Procrastination often stems from a fear of failure, rejection, or inadequacy. The Stoics were not strangers to fear, but they learned to face it head-on. They practiced what is known as premeditation malorum, premeditation of evils. By visualizing potential challenges and setbacks, they desensitized themselves to fear, reducing its power to paralyze them. When you catch yourself procrastinating, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? What is the worst that could happen? By naming your fears, you strip them of their power, making it easier to take action. Set clear, non-negotiable deadlines for yourself, and treat them with the same seriousness you would if they were set by someone else. Procrastination thrives in the absence of structure, so create your own. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. In other words, let your resistance guide you to the path forward. If you are delaying a task, it is often because that task is important, challenging, or meaningful. Use your resistance as a compass, pointing you toward what truly matters. Finally, practice self-compassion. Procrastination is not a sign of laziness or incompetence. It is often a coping mechanism for dealing with overwhelming emotions. Be gentle with yourself as you work to change this habit. Recognize your progress, however small, and celebrate each step forward. The Stoics understood that self-mastery is a lifelong journey, not a destination. They did not demand perfection of themselves, only persistence. Epictetus reminded his students, if you want to be a reader, read. If you want to be a writer, write. It is the small, consistent actions that ultimately define who you are and what you achieve. Habit 8. The habit of negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is the silent enemy within. A constant stream of criticism undermines your confidence and distorts your perception of reality. It's that voice that tells you you're not good enough, you'll never succeed, or why even try? This habit is insidious because it becomes so ingrained that you may not even notice it's happening. But its effects are profound. It erodes your self-esteem, clouds your judgment, and keeps you trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and fear. The Stoics were keenly aware of the dangers of negative thinking. They believed that our thoughts shape our reality. The mind is both a tool and a battleground. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about the importance of guarding the mind against harmful thoughts. He likened negative self-talk to a storm battering the mind's calm waters, disrupting inner peace. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts, he observed. If your mind is filled with self-doubt and negativity, those thoughts will color every aspect of your life. The Stoics taught that while we cannot always control our external circumstances, we can control how we interpret and respond to them. Negative self-talk, then, is not a reflection of truth, but a distorted lens that needs correcting. One powerful Stoic technique for overcoming negative self-talk is cognitive reframing. This involves challenging negative thoughts and replacing them with more constructive ones. When you catch yourself thinking, "I can't do this," pause and reframe it. "This is challenging, but I can figure it out." Instead of saying, "I always mess things up," try, "I've made mistakes, but I'm learning and improving." This isn't about denying reality, but about adjusting your perspective to one that empowers rather than diminishes you. Epictetus advised his students to make the best use of what is in your power. Your thoughts are within your power, and by choosing them wisely, you can transform your inner dialogue from a critic to a coach. Another Stoic approach is to practice self-distancing. When negative thoughts arise, imagine them as coming from an external source, not from within you. This helps you gain objectivity, seeing these thoughts as just that, thoughts, not facts. Marcus Aurelius often used this technique in his meditations, writing about himself in the third person to gain a clearer perspective. For example, instead of thinking, "I am failing," reframe it to, "He is facing a setback but is working hard to overcome it." This subtle shift helps you detach from the negativity, seeing it as temporary and surmountable, rather than an inherent truth about yourself. The Stoics also practiced affirmation of strengths. This is not about false positivity, but about recognizing and affirming your capabilities. Marcus Aurelius, in his quiet moments of self-reflection, would remind himself of his resilience, discipline, and capacity for rational thought. Similarly, take time to list your strengths, accomplishments, and qualities that make you unique. This practice is not about inflating your ego, but about grounding yourself in a balanced view of who you are. When negative self-talk tries to convince you otherwise, you have a solid foundation of self-knowledge to counter it. Gratitude plays a key role in overcoming negative self-talk. The Stoics often began their day by acknowledging what they were thankful for, including their own strengths and past achievements. Gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking or wrong to what is present and right. Each day, take a few moments to write down 3 things you appreciate about yourself. These could be qualities, skills, or actions you took that align with your values. This simple exercise cultivates a mindset of appreciation, helping you to see yourself not through the lens of criticism, but of compassion. Another effective strategy is the Stoic silence. When overwhelmed by negative self-talk, practice silence not just outwardly but inwardly. Marcus Aurelius often retreated into himself, seeking moments of inner quiet where the noise of self-criticism could not reach him. Find a quiet place, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. Let the negative thoughts pass without engaging with them. This practice of mindful silence helps you create distance between you and your inner critic. Over time, you'll find that the voice of negativity becomes quieter as you learn to observe rather than engage with it. Lastly, seek the company of those who uplift and encourage you. Stoics valued wise and virtuous friends who would provide honest but kind feedback, helping them to see themselves clearly without harsh judgment. Surround yourself with people who remind you of your strengths and potential, not just your flaws. Positive reinforcement from others can be a powerful antidote to the inner critic. Seneca believed in the value of good companionship, advising, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." The right people will help you build a stronger, more resilient mindset, one that is not swayed by the winds of negativity. Negative self-talk is a habit that can be deeply ingrained, but it is not unchangeable. The Stoics teach us that our minds are malleable, capable of transformation through discipline, awareness, and intentional action. By confronting and reframing negative thoughts, practicing self-compassion, and surrounding ourselves with positive influences, we can quiet the inner critic and cultivate a mindset that supports our growth and well-being. Remember, you are not defined by your worst thoughts, but by the actions you take to rise above them. Conclusion: the path to self-mastery, wisdom seekers. Life is a journey filled with challenges, choices, and moments of introspection. The habits we hold can either propel us toward greatness or anchor us in mediocrity. The 10 habits we've explored are more than mere actions. They are mindsets that shape our reality, defining who we are and who we will become. The Stoics, with their timeless wisdom, remind us that change begins within. By removing these habits from our lives, we are not just letting go of detrimental behaviors, we are reclaiming our power, embracing our potential, and walking the path of self-mastery. Stoic philosophers, from Marcus Aurelius to Seneca and Epictetus, understood that we are our own greatest adversaries and allies. Our thoughts, actions, and daily habits determine our destiny. They taught us that the keys to a fulfilling life are not found in external circumstances, but in how we manage our inner world. The removal of toxic habits is, therefore, not just a process of elimination, but of transformation. It is about shedding the layers of self-doubt, negativity, and inertia that keep us from being our highest selves. This journey is not easy, and it requires relentless commitment. As Seneca wisely noted, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. You must dare to confront these habits, to challenge the familiar but destructive routines that have taken hold. This daring is the first step toward a life of purpose, resilience, and authentic power. Each habit we've discussed, from seeking validation to procrastination, from complaining to negative self-talk, acts as a barrier to your true potential. The task before you is to dismantle these barriers brick by brick with the tools of awareness, discipline, and action. Remember that change does not come overnight. The Stoics believed in the power of daily practice, small but consistent actions that accumulate over time to create profound shifts. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So too, the quality of your life depends upon the habits you nurture or discard. Every day is an opportunity to make better choices, to reflect, course correct, and to grow closer to the person you wish to be. As you move forward, be patient with yourself. The path to self-improvement is not linear. It is marked by setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt. But each time you resist a negative habit, each time you choose a better path, you are fortifying your character. You are becoming, as the Stoics would say, a warrior of the mind, battling not external enemies but the inner forces that seek to hold you back. This battle is the most important one you will ever fight, and it is one you are equipped to win. The Stoic journey is one of constant refinement. It is about striving to live in accordance with your highest values, to act with courage, temperance, wisdom, and justice. By removing the 10 habits we've explored, you are taking significant steps toward that goal. You are not merely reacting to life, you are shaping it. You are defining your legacy not by the things you avoid, but by the principles you uphold and the actions you take. Wisdom seekers, the world may not always be kind, and life's challenges will not cease. But by mastering your habits, you can navigate these challenges with grace and strength. You can face adversity with the calm assurance that comes from self-mastery. And most importantly, you can live each day as the Stoics taught us, with purpose, integrity, and an unwavering commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. So go forth with the wisdom of the ancients at your side. Let these lessons guide you, inspire you, and remind you that every day is a new opportunity to live boldly, to act rightly, and to make the most of this precious life. Remember, you are the architect of your destiny. Remove the habits that no longer serve you, and build a life that reflects the best of who you are. The journey is yours, and it begins today. Thank you for following along, Wisdom Seeker. Embrace this path of self-improvement, and may the wisdom of the Stoics light your way.